who said you can't have your cake and eat it too? Not this big guy. The LX is the flagship full-size luxury SUV from Lexus that we get here in the US, because Toyota decided not to sell the Land Cruiser 300 series in the US. I'm just saying. The LX rides on the GAF platform, can be had in a 2 or 3 row configuration depending on the model, and can seat up to 7 passengers. For the 2025 model year, it still has its big bold grille up front, LED lighting, 112-inch wheelbase, and there's a new off-road focused trim which we'll get to later. Yeah, the look of the LX doesn't change, but under the hood, by the look of those high voltage orange wires in the back, something's a little different in here. Well, on camera, Mike, you're absolutely right. The LX now offers a hybrid powertrain on higher models and is dubbed the LX 700H, the biggest number Lexus has ever used. It's comprised of a hybrid 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6 engine, producing 457 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of luxury moving torque. This has made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission with full-time 4-wheel drive, and a Torsen limited slip locking center differential comes standard. If hybrids aren't your thing, the LX 600 comes without the hybrid system and makes 409 horsepower and 457 pound-feet of torque, and premium fuel is recommended for both powertrains. There's some good power in the Lexus LX. Right now I'm driving the F-Sport handling trim with that hybrid motor. This is the 700H, and this can get this big vehicle up to speed relatively quickly, and the electronically controlled brakes actually feel pretty good. They are predictable, progressive, they bring this to a nice smooth stop. They don't feel really squishy, and they do a good job. And even with the hybrid component, that 10-speed still shifts nice and smoothly, and it drops down to the appropriate gear if you need to make a pass or get on the highway. EPA estimated fuel economy for the LX 700H comes in at 20 miles per gallon in combined driving, and 19 miles per gallon combined for the LX 600. Yeah, the hybrid powertrain is barely more efficient, but it makes much more power and torque. See? Told you there'd be cake, pound cake. And if towing is your thing, both powertrains can tow up to 8,000 pounds. The LX comes with active height control and an adaptive variable suspension as standard fare, and can be lowered an inch or raised 4 inches. The F-Sport handling grade that I'm testing features a sportier look, uniquely tuned front and rear dampers, and a rear stabilizer. Even though I am driving the F-Sport handling trim, this still feels like a big vehicle. I mean, it does handle more stable than the luxury trim, and the suspension is a little bit firmer, but it still feels like a big vehicle. But nonetheless, the suspension is doing a great job at providing a nice, supple ride. And of course, this is a Lexus. You should be comfortable while you're cruising down the road, and the suspension does a great job at doing just that. The steering for the Lexus LX feels good too. It has a pretty quick steering ratio, and it feels nice and stable on center, doesn't wander around much, but you can also change up the steering feel in the drive mode section, because with a twist of a knob, you can go from comfort or normal or eco to Sport S or Sport S Plus. And what that does is change up the throttle mapping, adds a little bit more weight to the steering, and let's see if it pumps in some sound. I don't hear any sound pumped in, but I gotta say, the throttle response is a lot quicker when you go into one of the sport modes. Being the Lexus flagship SUV, this thing comes with plenty of tech. There's a head-up display, digital gauge cluster, 12.3-inch center touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 7-inch lower touchscreen that displays HVAC controls, vehicle functions, and ambient lighting controls, a standard cool box that tells you not to put any raw meat inside, and a new electronic shifter seen in other Lexus products that's used to aid with the LX's advanced park assist feature. As far as the tech in here, the screens look great. I like how the gauge cluster is nice and clear. You have a cowl over it just so no sunlight will hit it and wash it out. And the only thing is, when you're controlling it with the steering wheel, some of the controls can be a little bit confusing, but I'm pretty sure you'll get used to it through ownership. And I like how the steering wheel controls are not gloss black, so they won't look dirty or get fingerprints or dust on them easily. And you also have paddle shifters sensors on the back of the steering wheel, just in case you want to select your own gears, and they feel really nice as well. And as far as the touchscreen, it doesn't take a lot of inputs to get to the menu item that you want to get to. And you also have this supplemental bottom screen that gives you information like the climate control settings, a really loud beep when you press any of the buttons, and you also get some vehicle information as well. Yeah, the tech in here is pretty spot on with being a flagship vehicle in the Lexus lineup. But one thing that isn't flagship is this egg surround view monitor thing that needs to just go away. But it is forgiven because you do have an invisible hood view, which lets you see through the vehicle, and even over the top of bird's eye view, you can see what you're rolling over. But that thing, that needs to go away. Why is that still a thing? When set up correctly, you can receive navigation directions on all head-up display, gauge cluster, and infotainment screens. If you miss a turn, that's your own fault. But at least you'll be spending more time in the LX's comfortable front seats, which are heated, ventilated, and of course they have a massage function standard because luxury, people. In the driver's position at 6'4", I feel great. It's nice and comfortable. The massage seats actually do a great job at giving me a nice back massage. I have plenty of headroom, some good leg room, some nice adjustability, and you know I'm a sucker for red seats, and these are no exception. These look great, and you can get in a nice, comfortable driving position. Just a heads up, the LX isn't really tall person sitting behind tall person friendly in the second row. I had some good headroom with reclining seat backs and a command center for HVAC controls, USB ports, and available heated outboard seats. But legroom was a little dicey with no sliding functionality, and don't get me started on that big hump in the floor for middle seat passengers to deal with. But if you're of average height, you shouldn't have a problem getting comfortable. If you've been banished to the third row of the LX, make sure you are of very average or even shorter height, because boy oh boy it's tight back there. As for cargo, space behind the third row comes in at a very cozy 7 cubic feet. But if you're like me and the third row isn't always necessary, fold those down for more space, and you can use this shelf that supports up to 176 pounds. Keep in mind that the cargo load height is pretty high, so if something is heavy, maybe get a buddy. But if you fold both second and third rows down, you'll have a flat floor and up to 62 cubic feet of space. And if you need to power anything up, hybrid variants come with a 2400 watt inverter in back. But moving back up front, the interior of the LX has that Lexus charm. Not many high touchpoint areas have gloss black, which is fine by me. And there's a quality feel from the dash to the switch gears. And the cabin does a great job at keeping outside noise at a minimum. The one thing that I'm not a big fan of is its practicality, because you do have a cool box, but it's relatively narrow, but it is pretty deep. But you don't really have any good storage for any smaller items right up here. You do get a compartment for your sunglasses, which is great, but you don't get a dual sunroof, which is kind of a bummer, because it would be nice to have your rear seat passengers get a little bit of natural light back there. But the interior looks good, nice materials, and I think it's spot on with this being a Lexus having a nice luxury interior. As far as visibility, it's actually pretty good. Going forward, you have this really big dent in the middle of the hood, but outward visibility looks good. Even over both of my shoulders, it looks nice because of these nice tall windows. Going straight back out of that window looks good, but if you have a LX that's kind of packed out with people or bags, there is a digital rear view mirror that solves that problem lickety-split. Aiding with safety is the Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0, which comes standard and includes features like risk avoidance emergency steer assist, proactive driving assist, blind spot warning, lane departure alert with steering assist, and dynamic radar cruise control with lane tracing assist. Hands-free driving assist is not available, so make sure you keep your hands on the wheel and eyes on the road, because the LX will definitely let you know when you're distracted. So the LX is fun on-road, but now we gotta take it off-road with a brand new trim. Lexus introduces the Overtrail grade to the LX lineup. As seen on the smaller new 3rd generation Lexus GX, the larger LX gets some of the same treatment with dark trim bits, black over fenders, 33-inch all-terrain tires, and skid plates. But before getting dirty, I have to drive the LX 700H Overtrail trim to the off-road course. And I gotta say, on regular paved roads, these 33-inch all-terrain tires are doing a great job at not putting noise into the cabin. It's still nice and quiet and serene, but now we're gonna go ahead and get it dirty. The LX Overtrail can be had in a 2 or 3 row configuration, seating up to 5 or 7 passengers, and keep in mind the 2-row LX has a lower load floor in the cargo hold. The Overtrail grade also has exclusive available colors like this earth shade exterior and a stone brown interior with semi-aniline leather trim seats, black open pore wood accents on the door panels and center console, and all-weather floor mats. All right, so I made it to the course and there's a little bit of terrain to get through, and the suspension on the LX 700H Overtrail is doing a phenomenal job at soaking up all of these bumps. There's not a lot of jarring movements coming into the cabin, especially going over these really deep holes in the ground, and I think this is a terrific ride. It's very comfortable, but now we gotta get to some technical stuff. To aid with getting over some pretty treacherous terrain, the Overtrail grade also includes front and rear lockers, making a total of 3 lockers to make sure the power is going down to where it needs to go. And if you're wondering about the bumper, it's plastic and can be replaced easily in case you bash it up. And don't be afraid to get this hybrid SUV wet because the main hybrid battery is encased in a waterproof structure, making the LX Overtrail capable of fording up to 27.5 inches of water. All right, so I've been instructed to engage for low, and I also have my center locker locked as well. And yeah, we're gonna stay over to the left and see what this big bad boy LX can do. And for the time being, I'm not going to change up the multi-terrain select right now. I believe it's in auto, and it is. So we're gonna see what this automatically does when it comes across some tough off-roading situations. So right now up ahead, I have these big logs. Let's see how the LX puts power down to the ground. All right, yeah, getting over that 4 low using that low torque. And yeah, it's making light of these big logs. All right, now coming up on some dirt. I got a spotter here. And you know what? I'm gonna use some cameras. And that's great because I can see what's in front of me and I'm not gonna damage this really expensive luxury SUV. All right, and these cameras are really helpful. I like the side view. It's showing me what's to my left and right so I don't scratch anything. And yeah, just little throttle inputs. Yeah, these big bumps. And the seats are very supportive. I feel really comfortable right now. Yeah, this thing is almost making light of all of these situations. Got a little tilt. Whew, coming down. And right now, got a hill in front of me. Let's see how the LX tackles this. My instructor said go a little bit to the right. I can see on the screen why. And yeah, well, a combination of capability, technology, and whoo, some guts. You can have some fun in this Overtrail. That was cool. And so this LX, while it's fun off-road, has pleasant on-road manners, now we gotta get out of our comfort level and discuss how much it costs. Oh yeah. Pricing for the base non-hybrid Lexus LX 600 premium grade begins at $106,850, and that price includes the destination charge. If you're looking to go the hybrid route, that starts with the LX 700H Overtrail model starting at $115,350. Need a sporty LX? The F-Sport handling grade I test drove earlier starts at $117,850, and for the most opulence, the 2-row 4-seater LX 700H Ultra Luxury grade begins at just $141,350. If you're in the market for an LX, a GX, a sedan, or anything in between, Kelley Blue Book can help. Go on kbb.com and get a fair purchase price. kbb.com, click the link above for more details. Some competitors in the full-size luxury SUV segment include the new Infiniti QX80, Mercedes-Benz GLS, Land Rover Range Rover, and the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, just to name a few. The Lexus LX will be assembled at the Toyota Autobody Yoshiwara plant and expect to see them at dealers in early 2025. The Lexus LX finally has a hybrid powertrain and a brand new off-road ready Overtrail trim, which blends even more capability with comfort. So if you want something rugged, sporty, or luxurious, there's a model for that. And if all that sounds good to you, check out the Lexus LX.